In the early dawn, after the rumbling earth turned over and finally resettled, the Great Spirit placed over the lands roots, plants, fish, and animals into new homes. Each animal and bird had its own purpose on earth. Some four-legged and winged beings were to be food, nourishment. Others were to bring beauty and song across clean air between the Rocky Mountains and Cascade Range. This plateau was ruled by Coyote. He oversaw the creation of the two-legged beings. Some of these humans were to be called people of the water, or children of the sun, or the camas eaters, or the real people. Each tribe had their own name for themselves before the coming of Soyapo, the white man. Now, Colville, Kalispell, Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai, Nez Perce, Flathead, and Spokane are familiar names to us. A very special person was saved and cared for from the old world. This person was meek, but not helpless. She created beauty, happiness, laughter. She knew mysteries of the dark past, of things that are sacred, the medicines of the body and the medicines of the mind. She was grandmother. Good things come from her presence. She teaches when the earth sleeps. She teaches in winter, our season of grandmothers.
No, she's sleepy. Yeah, how about that? The grandmother puts the baby to sleep, but they say, when you're on the Huckleberry Mountains, once in a while you hear it echoing. Echo. And then they say there's that woman singing to her baby to sleep. But you're not supposed to look for it, because it might lead you away. You might be gifted a spirit. But in the olden times, that's what they look for. And that's why Indians have the baby board. Makes the mothers, Indian mothers, sad. But the white people calls it papoose board. So you've got one of those boards, papoose for your papoose. No, it isn't that. If they stop and think, it's a tree. You lean your baby against the tree for protection. When the mother, Indian mother, puts the baby to sleep, they don't hum loud, because they might be found by enemy, heard by enemies. That's the way your people. So you're going to and you get the fuss and they have to pet it. it went to sleep. In a teepee, my mother used to take the yarn belt and tie the baby to the teepee pole, and there they are standing sleeping. And if the child is creeping around, crawling around, she has a little rope and ties the rope around its waistline and ties it to the stay pole. And then the baby crawls so far and comes back. I like that. Our grandchildren went to the dance, and we were left behind. We were left alone to babysit, and you're weaving, and I'm babysitting. When our granddaughters come back, and we'll go to the dance. They're going to dance tonight for Chief Coyote's eyesight.
My ancestors had told me what happened to their art. When the priest, referred to as the Black Robe, came here and kind of, I'd say more or less dominated the Indians about religion, about the Catholic religion. And our Indian people in those days were told that it was a sin to wear dance. You commit and sin when you wear these things and dance. You got to quit these things. And they even went as far as that if you continued to do this, you weren't even allowed to attend church because you're committing sin when you get out and war dance. You got to do away with this. So the Coeur d'Alenes at the time were so enthused about the Catholic religion that they listened to the Black Robe, and some of them actually burned all their finery. They destroyed it because so they belong to the Catholic Church. So they'll be Christians. Those few families who got stubborn and they wouldn't listen to this, they kept all of their Indian things. They believed in continuing to war dance. But I remember them having war dances in different homes a long time ago when I was a little girl. Like, they kept it up anyhow, regardless how the priests objected to it. Mm-hmm. And any time they'd do something, I remember they just darken their windows so that nobody would know, or the policeman would come and stop them or break up their dance. And then if it got back to the priests where they still continued to war dance and be savages, I guess is what they were referred to, yeah. Well, then they were ousted from the church. My mother always did beadwork. My grandmother taught me a lot. You got to be creative. You got to have your own ideas about these things. And I enjoy making dresses for my family for the reason that I won't be leaving them very much when I'm gone, so at least I'll have that for them when I'm gone. And then I'm quite happy that my grandchildren, some of them enjoy taking part in war dances, and then they need all these things to wear to the dances.
whenever we go hungry, goes out hunting, kills a deer, comes back with it, and I eat. Cooked it and ate it. Whenever we want any ducks, he goes out and shoots ducks, and we have that. When he wants to go hunting, he always hides. Like if it was the deer and the ducks and everything belongs, the fishes belongs to the Suyapis. We always try to hide, to go out hunting or go fishing, because there's law all over us in this place. No hunting, no fishing, no trespassing in our place. Our ancestors were no treaty peoples, and that's one thing that I don't think the Suyapis will say anything about stopping us from hunting all year round. I think we got the rights to go out hunting all year round and fishing and trapping, which I don't think there's any more beaver. Long time ago there used to be beaver. He used to trap. When he gets a beaver, he skins it and he sells the hide, and the beaver, I cook it and eat it. Well, it's good to butcher a deer once again. For a long time. We haven't been doing this for quite a while. My dad used to go hunting all the time. Anything he kills, everything. By watching my dad skinning a deer, that's how I got it. I don't know, but taught me. I didn't ask for anybody to help me, teach me how. I just picked it up. So once when I watched my dad, that's how come I know how to butcher a deer. Yawa. Gaat hij niet vissen? I guys we're going to just let that go. He said that he wants to get the cuts out, and that's all. He wants to eat. I could sometimes when I get hungry. Go on! Saan luklitit niya yung tatlapit. Ang kapapagyan mo tahan ko. Larry! Hold this on. This is one of my grandsons that don't know how to skin a deer. He's watching me now. He can see how it's done. This time of the year, the hides are good. If it was in month of November, this then would be nothing but fat. Look at it, it just doesn't have a bit of fat on it.
Dami has not such a good she's that shit, let she look shit. Oh, wait. As shit, so come and tell she take on shackles.
During the fall, we would move with Mike's Titier and John Delaware, camping over the mountains. They killed a lot of elk. When we would be making dry meat for several days, prepare all the hides. Every day the game warden would come to our camp. The others in the camp, the men would tell them, "You should take care. The game warden is mean. You should hide the heads." She thought it was the Indians' elk. Then they were told by the game warden that they had quite a few killed already and that they should leave. My father says, "We'll leave in the morning." And they were told by the game warden as he was leaving. They didn't understand English very well. It was my brother that understood. Then the game warden said he was going to take the oldest person because he didn't have a permit. Then there were the two game wardens, and my brother was talking with them, when all of a sudden a shot was heard. I saw Camille fall, and then I looked again. Yellow Mountain had just fallen. Wherever I looked, my brother was jumping like a cat. When they shot, he jumped, went like this, and he finally grabbed the rifle and shot the game warden. He hit him someplace. Then my brother was hit. That is enough.
But it's just an idea that how they were treated when they were trying to get their meat and then to be mistreated by the game warden. I've heard little bits of it, but never the story that it came out, so, which is a very sad thing for her.
They finally brought the bodies back, I guess, some years later. We're out here at the cemetery. They have a monument on them now for her parents.
Putel as mistake put stem spent chutli utsas mistake putel stem spent chutlu 1908
never thought that the child, especially the girls, just as soon as you grow up so to be a teenager to help your parents, that's where you were supposed to be. Your place was to help your parents. We had to mind our parents from the time we were little. They would take us and go out and get willows. Now as many as it's in this room that didn't, disobeyed or whatever, they had to be punished, would have to go out and get a willow, certain length of willow. And he'd count how many that didn't obey. All right, after the supper, they'd say, "Oh yes," this old man would say, "Oh yes, that's right, I have some work to do." And we children knew what the work was. Each one of us would have to get down on kneel down, lay down right on our backs like that. And there with our whip, I had to have one, my brothers, or anybody, not only my brothers, but any of the children from different tents or camps, we'd all get a whack. And we'd just stay there, and the minute we started to cry, we'd run. And the next one, till they're all through with that whipping. Then we still had to have our whip. And after we were through, they'd make us bite onto the switch, And then the way we'd have to sing a song or whatever we could sing and go round. Wow.
It's in your heart. When you hear these songs, you can't help it because you sing these songs all the time in your home or wherever you go. You're driving down the road. You're told by the medicine man, when you're hunting, when you're digging your roots, when you're, or everything, anything you're doing, you sing this song. This song is to go with you wherever you go. That was the songs I'd sing if I played stick game. Indian stick game, to me, is an Indian traditional game played by the Indians that has been passed down from generation to generation. From way back, nobody can ever count back to when it was really ever started. And it is an Indian game. At earlier days, men only played the game, and the women played their own game, which they called hand game. The men and the women play together, and they have these big Indian powwows, and there's where they'll challenge one another in this hand game, stick game. They all have different names for their games, and it's a great occasion. Every winter, then they go from far end of the reservation to the other one. And as you play the stick game, generally there is 2 poles laid down on the ground across from one another. And then they 2 teams sit down after they have exchanged their presents or gifts, whatever you call them, that they're going to put down on the game, because if you win, you walk away with double from what you put down. And women, they put blankets, shawls, and beaded necklaces, beaded bags, and the men, it's money or whatever they have. So it's just the pleasure of playing the game.
And so, here are the mothers of our own mothers. Their tales have been told time and again. Blood from many grandmothers and grandfathers back flows in every vein of our child bodies. The blood of grandmother flows warm, strong in our hearts now. Grandmothers teach us how to make our fingers dance, creating worship and ceremonial clothes, weaving ears of corn as if weaving time and the long ago when corn was first eaten. She sits and sings and shows us how to bead designs from bitterroot and shooting stars. Grandmother is guardian of the sacred. She teaches us how to respond to rhythms of the moon, to seasons of the salmon. She teaches us how to dance in ancient movements of time and space. Because she has lived being nurtured by sun, the shadow of grandmother is her very own. Her moccasins touch the earth. Now, if we all live right with one another, we too can be so privileged to live among grandmothers and grandfathers. You see, Indians are alive. We are here. We are now. And We live in seasons, and this is winter, our season of grandmothers.